everyone, it's Linda McKenna. I'm from Golden Rule Senior Placement Services, and I'm coming to you today with Tuesday Talks. The topic that we had discussed that we're going to be talking about a little bit more in detail is preparing for an emergency. Are you and your senior loved ones safe in their own home or within a senior living community? As you all now know, it's August 29th and Florida is experiencing a hurricane preparedness for Hurricane Idalia. And for those of us that are younger, we know how to manage planning for a hurricane. But for those seniors that are living home alone, it could be very, very daunting, and especially concerned for loved ones that live far away. Preparing for, the hurricane is a lot more than just moving the furniture off the lanai or any objects that could be airborne and do damage. But there's a lot of things to prepare for ahead of time in case we're without electricity. We're not able to get around on the streets due to trees falling and obstructed roadways to get nourishment, go to the stores, and of course, emergency ways of getting things that are your care needs as well too. So I had made a little bit of a list of the things that, what to consider when you're preparing for a hurricane, especially for seniors. Seniors should be making a list of contacts. And if your senior loved one is living here in Florida and you're in Michigan, New York, New Jersey, Colorado, and you're worrying from a distance away how to get in contact with them. Maybe they do lose their landline phone. They do not have a cell phone. How do I get in touch with them? How do I help them prepare from a distance? I have to have a point of contact. Even the doctor's offices might close. How do I get in touch with them particularly? So you should really have a list of people to contact when to get their attention to make sure that your loved ones are safe at home. But also your senior loved one should have a contact list. If this should happen, these are the people that I need to contact right away or prior to the emergency happening. It is difficult to actually maneuver this while it's happening because obviously if we lose electricity, the landline phones or anything of that nature, then they're really, really at a loss. So it's really important that they have access to better communication prior to and a plan prior to. Making sure that medical information is gathered, meaning all medical documents about you, especially the senior, the medication list, your disease processes, all those living wills, your POA documents, power of attorney documents. These folks should have a folder or a briefcase full that they need to take with them in case they have to evacuate, because there's that identity and also planning for them to get the care that they need. But if they don't have this collected on a regular basis or in an emergency and they're running around the house trying to get that, it really becomes really, really cumbersome. You should, if you're out of town, should have copies of that as well. So this way you could at least assist them from a distance, but also have knowledge of those means. The medical information is really important for folks that have dementia. Because who's going to speak for them when they can't speak for themselves? So that's another thing, a healthcare surrogate, power of attorney, all those things really need to be prevalent prior to planning for the hurricane or any tornadoes, whatever, the emergency plan is. So that also needs to be discussed. Also, with leaving their home, how are they going to leave their home? Are they capable of driving? Is the roadways going to be blocked? Where do they evacuate to? What zone are they in? Are they in an evacuation zone? All the stuff needs to be known prior to evacuating. And where would they go? There is certain medical needs facilities, like sometimes there's high schools that set up for those that are on oxygen. Realize if they're on oxygen, there's only a period of time that oxygen might now, be unfulfilled. So that's why there's a special place for these folks to go to evacuate as well too. What they need to bring with them, medications, all that information is really, really good. How do they get there if they can't drive? Or it's really cumbersome for them to drive. What transportation is there going to get them? Hearing all the stories about the last storm that hit the West Coast and Fort Myers, Sanibel Island, Sarasota, it was devastating for the senior population. There were so many that perished because they wanted to stay behind. They didn't have an evacuation plan or plans in place. So, the things that you need to take when you leave your home is a list that it could easily be checked off. But again, if somebody has dementia, how is that going to be accomplished? There should be a kit put together, like an emergency kit, that being, Band-Aids or anything of that nature that we call a life support kit, so to speak. That should be put together so that goes with, medications. Another good point is, especially if electricity goes out, a lot of the ATM machines are not working. So having cash on hand is important. Filling your tanks with gas, if those folks of your loved ones actually can drive, the tanks need to be filled prior to leaving. It becomes chaos the day of the storm hitting. Everybody's running to the gas station, getting water, getting all this preparation. If they're staying in and they're not evacuating or having to evacuate, is there enough batteries for obvious, flashlights? We don't want to use candles for another obvious reasons to maybe have fire. But these things all need to be thought of beforehand. All these prepared kits. Even getting extra water, filling the tubs up with water, because if in case you can't flush, we're going to be without electricity. So how are they going to keep cool? How are they going to cook? How are they going to keep everything cold so food doesn't spoil? All these things need to be thought of. The evacuation route is important too, that you should be knowing if you're a distance away, where they are evacuating to and how they getting there. Be part of that process. And if they're staying at home, it would be advisable for their cars not to be outside under maybe trees falling on them, because now we have a lot more damage on a native way of getting out, because now those trees are doing damage to your car. So again, a lot of very important things to think of beforehand, not to wait till the day of. Now, if they were in senior living, all your peace of mind would be put into place. Those individuals that run a senior living community actually do all this for your loved one. The medications are there. They're still eating. They have a generator that the air conditioning and electricity is still on. They are safe in place. They're not where debris is falling upon them. They're also, the great part is medical is within. So there is nurses within the community in case there is an event. So they remain in place. There is quite a bit of senior living communities that have to evacuate because they might be in a zone or their buildings are not structured for any wind or a severe hurricane. There is a lot of communities actually that could sustain Category 5 hurricanes. So living in the Florida area, California area, or any of the coastal areas where really hurricanes really hit hard, even in the Gulf Coast of even Texas and all, these folks should be thought upon. These seniors should be thought upon. And if it's senior living, do your homework that, what, if in case a storm does hit this community, what is your evacuation plan? You should know it, especially that your senior loved one is assumed to be in senior living. What is the actual plan? And that could be your determining factor of picking one senior living over another. I just toured a community with a lovely older couple, and they're very bright for their advanced age, knowing that they need to move out of their home because it's too cumbersome, and preparing for the storm is big, moving furniture and going out to supermarkets, loading up your pantries and all. And we did a tour of a community, and I did bring it up because he is, like I said, very much in the planning type of individual. Is the facility that we actually toured could actually sustain a Category 5. And believe it or not, a lot of their family members actually stay with them, their senior loved ones, so they could be safe in place with them in their apartments. Staff stays in place as well too, so nobody's going home. They're actually attending to your senior loved ones. So nothing is better than being prepared. Being proactive and preparing for a hurricane, any type of disaster or weather, is thinking about it ahead of time, but not while it's happening. So we're getting through, Idalia, and we are all together in our senior living community, helping one another out where somebody else doesn't have, they're supporting another community. That's what we do. We protect our senior residents, and we're there to offer advice, assistance as needed. So again, thank you for viewing Golden Rules Tuesday Talks, and hopefully we'll get through this storm really with sparing any damage. And in 2 weeks we'll have another conversation, and I think what we're going to do is approach fall prevention, meaning falling prevention, and how we can accomplish that. So thank you. I'm not going to keep any longer, but I would love for you to go to my website. It's www.goldenruleseniorplacement.com. You'll see my bio, testimonials, the demographics of my business, various options, resources, and these video talks. We've had them for the last 4 years, so you could go back to an old video as well too. So thank you. Thank you for your support, and just be prepared is my final words. Bye-bye now.